Hey everyone, and welcome to our weekly SIG Release meeting. This meeting adheres to the CNCF Code of Conduct, which basically boils down to be mindful what you said and be excellent to each other. I pasted the link to the agenda in the chat, and I also shared it here with you. So feel free to add yourself to the list of attendees, and Marco will take notes today. So thank you for that. It looks like we have a bunch of new folks today on board. Do we have anyone on the call who would like to say hi?
Hello. My name is Mofi. I don't know if this is the right call for me yet because I am a bug trash shadow for 128, but just saw that on my calendar, wanted to join and see what's happening.
Hey, welcome. Yeah, this is our weekly meeting, so there will be release team meetings in parallel, running in parallel, but this is the regular update meeting for everyone who wants to get to know what is new in SIG Release and what we are doing right now.
Perfect.
I'm Helena. I'm also a new joiner to Bug Triangle.
Awesome. Welcome. Shivam, you have your hands up. We can't hear you if you're saying something.
Sorry, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Hey, this is Scott from Red Hat. I was just curious to follow along the meetings and see how this go. I'll add my name to the list.
Awesome. Thank you. Welcome.
Hello.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. Hi. So yeah, I'm Shivam. I have also been exploring the Kubernetes community, and I thought to get started with the SIG release meeting. So I'm here just to see what's happening in different SIGs and see how I can add to the contribution.
Awesome. Welcome. Great to have you. Grace, you have your hands up.
Yeah, so for the folks who are new to the release team, it can be confusing. So the release team is a sub-project of SIG Release, and we will have our first meeting on Wednesday, depending on where your time zone is, but it should also be on your calendar.
Yes, thank you for that update. Cool. So welcome everyone. Great to see so many new folks on the call. It's awesome. All right, so then let's jump over directly to the sub-project updates. Who from release engineering would like to provide us an update?
It's me who left those two items, so maybe I can start. Kubernetes patch releases for May are scheduled for tomorrow, for Wednesday. Veronica will take care of them, and if needed, I think Jim will help in the US time zone if you need to hand over. So keep an eye on that. We have some failing tests on informing dashboard for 124, but I will follow up with folks from SIG Windows. I think that I know what needs to be fixed. So let's see with them about that. Also, another thing that I wanted to mention is that I picked up the OBS implementation again, and I added an item later that will bulk the board because this is the first time we have, at least that I know, the first time that we have per cap or per project board. So I'm planning that I show how I organize it because it might be useful for other boards and other folks. And I think this is mostly it regarding, at least from my side. I think we have also some stuff from promotion tools that I see that Sasha added an agenda point. Do you maybe want to add something now or?
Yeah, we can speak later about this one, yeah.
Okay, do we have anything else regarding release engineering?
We can probably mention, because I saw it right now, that we closed most of our project boards, like the release team project board and the release engineering project boards are now closed in favor of more project specific boards. like we have project boards for our initiatives we are working on right now together with our roadmap. So that those are obsolete and those are also closed. All right. Any further comments or questions generally regarding release engineering? Because if not, then we can jump over to the release team. So Grace, do you want to provide us an update?
Yep. So 128 release has officially started. We will have our first meeting in a little bit over 24 hours. The calendar right now has enhancement freeze for 6 weeks, or enhancement period for 6 weeks, and then 4 weeks until code freeze. Leo and I have been talking about making it 5/5, so there's enough time for implementation. And we generally agree on this, and would love to hear any input about it before I update or finalize the calendar.
So just to make sure that I have it right, so we have 6 weeks of enhancement period, and then after that 4 weeks of the code freeze, right?
Yeah, that's correct. And we'll make it 5/5. Yeah, and then timelines will be updated.
Yeah, maybe also some context. So Jordan also pointed this out, I think, a couple of weeks ago, or some time ago. So I think this is probably better to switch it around to have a little bit more time for code freeze than for enhancement freeze. So I think this is like also very welcome from the community in general.
Yeah, sounds good. So probably dropping a note to KDev would be to get more feedback, maybe one day or something like this would be sufficient, right?
Yeah, so I will send a message into SIG Release, and then I'll also bring it up in the meeting tomorrow.
Good, thanks. All right, anything else regarding the release team? Because if not, then we can jump over directly to our open discussion section. And I will start with the first topic. It's just two small enhancements to our current image signing. So I was investigating what we can do from designing to have better support for the verification process. And one thing I just noticed was that we don't sign multi-arg images by using recursive signing, which means that we sign the multi-architecture manifest list, but we don't sign the actual image. And we have architecture images in the registries which we push dedicatedly, but I'm just speaking about the multi-arg image list. So Cosine has the support for signing recursively and doing this automatically. And I added support to this to the release SDK, and we probably can also add it to Promo2S. I really hope that we don't increase the signing time with this change, but it will make verification of the multi-arg image way better, or way more straightforward from my point of view. And the other enhancement is about, so Cosine signatures have a Docker reference in their JSON manifest. So, and they point right now to the actual mirror. So we are using registry-cates.io. But if we use Cosine verify, then we point the Docker reference to any of those mirrors, which are, yeah, like Europe Southwest from my location is the resolution for this. And the main idea is to be able to override this Docker reference and point it to registry-cates.io. And this would require a change in Cosine, but would also make image verification better for us, because then users can rely on those Docker reference for actually seeing, verifying the images directly from registry.cates.io. So let's see how this turns out. if the change lands in cosine, then we can also add it to our release tools. And that's are just two small enhancements to the overall signing process. So it's nothing which is worth changing our current enhancement. So any further comments regarding image signing? Because if not, then I will just hand it over to Marco, and Marco would like to provide us an update on the packaging board.
Just a quick question.
Yes.
What is needed to move forward, I guess, to change this? Do we need like an opinion around how we solve this? Or I guess, is there a solution here?
Yeah, so I proposed the change as RFC and directly as in cosine, and we need somehow agreement if we can do it like this or not. The thing is, if we can't change, for example, the Docker reference, then I don't know how we would make it better user interface wise, right? Because if verification tool is cosine doesn't do this. If you run cosine verify, it will not arrow out if there's Europe Southwest Docker or pkg.dev in the image URL other than registry.case.io. But if we make it really strict, then we would say, okay, this is wrong because the Docker reference is not the mirror, but the Docker reference the user is referring to is registry.case.io, and this should be correct from my point of view. Yeah. All right. So I guess with then I can just hand it over to Marco.
Okay, thank you. The first thing that I wanted to mention is the packaging board and how are we staying with the packaging work. Sasha, do you want to open the board or? Yeah, thank you. As Sasha mentioned at the beginning of the meeting, we are now not doing the classic board that we have in the past, so that we have one release engineering and one release team board. We want to try something else. This was discussed in the SIG release meeting that we had in person on KubeCon. The idea was we started with two boards, one for packaging, one for salsa board. Those are two major topics that we have. I spent some time yesterday trying to organize the board to see how it can look like. And this is what I came up with. So I created multiple columns. One is to keep track of checking issues like the cap and some large issues that are used as a placeholder for other smaller issues. And then we have a column for blocked issues. That's something that we need to work on, but it is not the right time because we are waiting for some other stuff to be implemented and fixed. And then we have backlog in progress, in review and done, something similar that we had in past. What else I want to mention is that I added on board a field for each issue that can be used to track the stage that issue is supposed to be worked in. And you can see that some of issues have alpha and most of issues have alpha and some of them have beta. We don't have stable. And this is like the stage when we are planning to tackle that issue. For example, we have in progress that integrate dev build, and this is alpha, like this is the first issue that we have to take care of actually. And based on that, we have different views. So you can easily switch, for example, between all issues, between stage overview, alpha, beta, and stable, and see how are we doing. So that's how it is organized. Speaking of work and what are we going to do, the first thing is actually finishing the integrated dev build. So to remind everyone, and if someone is new to this, originally we have packages we have RPM specs and we have Debian specs. It turns out that Debian specs can be very easily auto-generated from RPM specs, especially that we don't have any building that we, for example, take Kubernetes sources, build binaries, then do something with those binaries. We just take already pre-built binaries and put them in the package. So it turns out auto-generation is easy, and OBS folks propose that as a way forward. So we are trying to integrate that, and we are very close. After that, I will work with some minor improvements to crel OBS specs command, the one that is generating files. I wanted to be able to take those binaries from the staging bucket so that we can actually generate everything in staging, that we don't have to do it very late in the release. Maybe we can even trigger the building process in stage and then just release in the crel release stage. So this is the idea, and this is the current status. Other than that, we have a bunch of other issues to solve. So this is what we will take care of how we proceed. And my idea will be periodically, maybe not every week, but every 2 or 3 weeks, we do a quick, maybe 5 minutes walk to the board, make sure that we are doing okay, eventually see if there is anything that we can split in terms of work or if there's any help needed. So that will be the plan.
Awesome. This looks extremely promising. So thank you for all this work you put into this project board. My first question would be, where do you need help right now?
Right now, I don't need any help. It is going pretty well. I'm considering what task we can split. And there is that issue about, let me see if I can find it here in the Word. But it is 3055, the last one in blocked column. Create tool to manage projects and access to OBS. This is something that can be worked in parallel. I wanted to wait a little bit, maybe a week more, to make sure to have like a final decision that everything is working fine with OBS. So if there's someone that is interested to work on this tooling, so this is going to be a little bit more complex because we will need to integrate with OBS APIs and to create that GitOps workflow similar to what we have for managing Google Groups, managing Slack channels, and many other things that we have in the Kubernetes community, so that we basically have a YAML file that we can put Kubernetes projects, sub-projects for OBS, configuration, platforms, all that stuff, and that we can reconcile it automatically. That would be very nice to have because we would have to fiddle with the OBS UI. So it means that there's less chance to make a mistake. And yeah, this is something that I am looking for some help if anyone wants to work on that, but it is not a priority for alpha. I market this beta, so if anyone is interested, you can reach out to me.
Awesome, thank you. You can also pin this issue to the SIG Release channel, so maybe there's anyone else who would like to contribute to it.
If it's not complex that much, maybe because I'm a new contributor, if it's not complex that much, maybe I could help on this.
Okay, I will try to come up with some sort of proposal, more formal one, how it can look like, what it should do, how it should be used. And then based on that, we can see who is interested to work on that.
Okay, that would be great. Thank you.
I can't promise it's going to be maybe next week, but I will try in upcoming weeks to take care of it.
Okay, so I will reach out to you next week, so maybe you can let me do it. Sure. I will be happy to contribute. Thank you.
Awesome. So is the API to interact with the Open Build service part of the alpha stage?
I'm not sure. I wouldn't call it alpha stage because we can invoke the OSC tooling manually and we can set up the projects and everything on our own. So it's not necessarily alpha, but I think it is must have as we graduate to beta and stable.
Yeah, this makes sense. So we could also at some, or let's say later on the release cycle, think about splitting up the work for the API and already starting with integrating it so that we have it ready at some point. Cool.
I hope that we will be able to work much faster on that because eventually, and I hope that is in upcoming dates, I will be working full time on this. So I hope that it will not take as much time as proof of concept did. So fingers crossed.
Yeah, this sounds awesome. So for everyone who is interested in working on this effort, so feel free to reach out to Marco. He will distribute the work accordingly. All right. Anything else regarding the packaging effort? Okay, I think then we can jump over to the next topic, Marco.
Okay, thank you. The next topic is the status of one PR in Prometheus that my colleague created a while ago. So I first want to check about it. If there's anyone on call who might have idea, how do we want to proceed with it? Because I think Carlos and Mohammed on the PR, but we didn't get any feedback on how we should do it. I know it was once discussed on SIG Release meeting, I think maybe before KubeCon, but I'm not sure what was the decision on it. So I wanted to see maybe if anyone, Carlos and Adolfo, if you can take a look and maybe provide us some feedback about what should we do.
Okay, I'm not familiar with it, but I can surely take a look in a little bit.
Okay, it's not urgent, but I just wanted to raise awareness. So because it is open for a long time now, if you can close it.
Okay, yeah, for sure.
Thank you so much. And another question that I wanted to ask, if how are we staying in general when it comes to promotion tools, promo tools? Because I might have some capacity, and that is also the case for some folks at Kubernetes, and we might be interested to help out if there's anything needed when it comes to promotion tools, especially the image promotion part and making the experience better. I remember that I have heard from folks that there are some ideas from ChainGuard folks how to improve it, like to reduce the Promo Tools code base significantly, make it easier to follow, make it safer. So I wanted to see if there's any update, if there's anything that we can help with. At least I don't need an answer now, but I just wanted to bring it up. So if there's anything that can be helped with, please let me know. So I am personally, as I said earlier, I'm now working full-time on Upstream stuff. And I also have some folks who are interested to help. So if there's anything that we can do to make it a little bit better, please let me know. And yeah, we will be able to help.
Yeah, I guess so. That period of instability that we had during the registry migration, I would think that it's now not under control. So I mean, there are issues open, but the urgent parts are over. So if you want to take on a new improvement, it's fine. But I'm feeling that right now we have of course issues where we need to add some resiliency, for example, some retries, some backup. But I feel that we're now kind of on a period of rest after so much instability for it. But I mean, if you have any ideas or you want to take on some of the open issues, it's fine. We definitely should discuss where the weak points are, especially for backing off and retries. And we don't have issues open for that, so we should at some point discuss that and add them. There was some discussion with Kate's Infra on maybe redoing how we're doing the promotion, but that involves designing a whole new promotion process and rewriting a lot of the promoter from scratch. Not everything, but big chunks of it. So I guess right now we're kind of in the middle of having handled the instability of the previous months and thinking on where we want to take it from now. I feel that it has been relatively stable since we fixed the last couple of since we did the last improvements to handle the registry change. So I don't know, maybe we should get together or put it on the agenda in discussing one of our meetings where we want to take it.
Okay. Maybe that would be a good idea that we discuss it with security infra folks as well. Like, where do we want to go, into what direction? And yeah, if everything is needed to move forward, then I can be of some help there and maybe try to get some folks as well who could work on it. So yeah, we can see about it.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, are there any questions for this topic? Thanks a lot, Adolfo, by the way. Okay, then I will go to the next topic, if that's okay. And this is hopefully a relatively short question. And it is, should we consider archiving the SIG release meeting minutes? Because I don't know for other folks, but personally, I have some performance issues when loading this doc. And this is like when I'm on Zoom, and this is even my Mac like starts freezing when trying to load this page. And as far as I know, SIG Contributex, for example, is doing something similar every year. I link here as an example. And I think like this agenda is going to 2017. Maybe we should try to archive it and like split it per year. I would like to know what their opinions of that. Are there any other folks that have a problem with this document? Or what is the general consensus of that?
I think it's a great idea. Let's see how, if there's some prior art and how like Contrib-X is doing it. Maybe we do it by year, maybe we do it every 6 months. Jim, got your hand up.
Yeah, SIG Docs also does this, and if you go into it's basically the same directory tree where you found that SIG contributor experience link. If you go to the SIG Docs folder, there's the meeting notes archive, and there's a README in there about just chunking out year by year, and then there's like it's a Google Docs plugin, but it basically takes Google Docs to Markdown. It's a relatively manual process, but it's also relatively pain-free. So just if you wanted to walk through and a README of how to do it in the SIG Docs, there is kind of prior art there to Stephen's point.
So I remember in the past, and maybe this has changed, there were some concerns about security of certain Google Docs plugins. What we could do, if we wanted to not go the plugin route, is we could export to docx or something, and then I'm sure Pandoc can figure it out maybe and check it out that way. But yeah, I'm the short version. I'm open to it.
Okay. I don't think I have security concerns regarding the plugin, unless anyone else. I mean, if it works for SIG Contributex, the SIG Docs, I think it should be fine for us as well. If folks are okay with that, I could try taking care of that. So
can I get a volunteer who is not Marco to take a look at it? Marco, you've got a ton on your plate already. All right, at a baseline, let's file an issue for it. Jim, are you potentially interested in this since we've got some overlap?
Yeah, if I can help out, I can. I didn't want to steal anyone's thunder if someone want to give it a go, but yeah, I've got experience doing that and happy to help out.
Yeah, jump in. And thank you.
Thank you as well. And one final topic that I have, if there are no questions about this one. Okay. So there's one fee at our release manager's mailing list, and this is subscription to Debian security mailing list. And I wanted that now that we are subscribed for some extended time, I think for quite a while, I wanted to see like how useful is it to folks, because in my opinion, we are receiving a lot of irrelevant mails and they're quite frequent. Like they tend to send several emails weekly, and it's rare that it is affecting us at all. And I was thinking like, is this really helpful to anyone? If that we should eventually unsubscribe, find some other way to collect those emails and alerts relevant to us. Are there any opinions of this topic? Like,
So if I can reframe what we're concerned with is the, is security updates for Debian releases as it pertains to building base images, right? Do we have a process, a timeline in which we build Debian images? And I think that that's still not true today, right? It's kind of a someone mentions a vulnerability. So the whole idea for signing up for this list was a signal that, hey, maybe we should look at rebuilding our images, right? So I think I would flip this and say, if it's not providing value to us, fine, let's unsubscribe. But also, as we're unsubscribing, let's also make sure that we have a process for when we build new images for Debian. And we're also starting to draw down on the amount of Debian images that we have to build in the first place.
I have to agree with that. I think that's a pretty good point. I don't know, maybe it would be nice that we have, I don't know, monthly. I don't know how often those images are updated. I think we update them relatively rare, don't we?
What if we made this part of the prepping for patch releases?
Yeah, something like that.
Right.
I wanted to propose the monthly cadence. So once a month, maybe a week before patch releases, we create a tracking issue. We need to check like how are we doing and update the images, and that's it basically.
And I would say, 2 weeks or so or more, or in fact, maybe immediately after the patch releases. Right. That way the images also have soak time on all of the branches. If that made sense, does that make sense to folks?
Yeah, does it have to align with Golang updates somehow?
It depends. It's not always going to align with Golang updates, and I think for some of the Golang updates, well, we can say there are a few updates that will pop up that are that may be minor updates or out of band security releases for Golang, and then we would just roll the images anyway. But I think our response, our image building response is effectively like, oh, someone has noticed a vulnerability in something upstream, and we should re-roll. But so having at least a baseline monthly cadence would be good. I mentioned doing it after the patch releases so that we're not impacting the release cycle, right? So if we were to say, let's do it when we do the patch release deadline, that means we have to roll the images, get them out in time for the patch release deadline, and have them soak on the branches, right? We are potentially introducing risk into the release process by doing so. So immediately after the patch releases gives a whole month of a window to catch any future issues.
Yeah, makes sense. Do we have any volunteer who would like to work on this process?
I say thumbs up, then I would probably Steve say that I have already too much. So If there's no one, I can take a look.
Yeah, or at least we create an issue and then we ping again on SIG release to ask for it.
Yeah. Let's get an issue filed. I'm just looking at the attendees list right now. Jim, how are you feeling about potentially investigating this as well?
I don't know if I have quite the bandwidth just now to jump in on it, but I'm happy to pair up with somebody on it.
Yeah. Jim and Marco, figure out how to one of you file an issue and figure out how to chop up the work.
I can 100% file an issue.
And
Okay.
at least at this period, it's not it's not anything that's on fire. Matt, do you want to talk to your comments in the chat?
Hi, sorry. Yeah, it's just that we get a lot of like concerns about like CVEs and things that maybe are not like they're theoretically possible but not practically possible, and oftentimes our compliance concerns are not our compliance people or the people that we are concerned with are not worried about whether or not it's possible to exploit the CVEs so much as that the CVEs exist and they don't want them to. So often we have to just get those things updated as fast as possible, whether or not we can prove that somebody can exploit them in practice on our systems. I just was wanting to point that out because oftentimes we get CVEs that are theoretically possible, and we still have to address those.
Absolutely, yeah. I think we run into issues here where it's patching to sometimes it's patching to satisfy the scanners and make people who get antsy about bells going off less antsy.
Right. Yeah, we have a lot of compliance concerns with the way that when I say we, I mean Rancher. I'm speaking from the SUSE Rancher perspective. We have a lot of compliance concerns that we care about.
Yeah, I agree with that. Thanks for the feedback on that. So if we manage to get like as least CVEs as possible, then it's definitely going to make it easier for everyone. Because as you said, some compilers just don't care about if it is exploitable or not. But many are trying to go for 0 CVEs. So yeah, that would be a great help from doing those updates regularly. Okay, then Jim and I will see about moving this forward. Jim, you can take care of the issue and feel to assign it to us. So we will split the work somehow and figure out how we can do it.
Awesome, thank you. Anything else regarding the mailing list for Debian security? Okay, and then we have a last minute topic from Grace about the little PR, which is already merged. So
Yeah, thank you, everyone.
Yeah,
That was the fastest topic ever.
all right, any other last minute topic? Because if not, then I will give you 2.5 minutes back. Enjoy the rest of the day, and thanks for attending, and see you soon. Bye.
Thanks all.
Easy, everyone.